Hey, welcome to Men on Everything. This is our weekly talk with myself, Tony Scott, and then you got your Troy Johnson there, and you got your Mark Clark there. Troy's in Washington, D.C. Mark is in New York City.
Doing
He's
great.
in the Big Apple, baby.
Take a
From
bite.
the studios of Radio 103.9.
Yes.
I'm in my basement, and Troy is
I don't know where. Undisclosed location.
undisclosed. It's top secret. So,
FBI.
Right. That's right.
but we talk about lots of different things, and the show started with Men on Scandal, but and we still do that. But we're waiting for Scandal to start up again in September 25th, when it'll be Shonda Rhimes Thursday nights.
Yeah.
All her shows will be on Thursday night. It'll be her new show with Viola Davis, Scandal, and then of course the Grey's Anatomy is a staple on Thursday night. So that should be interesting to see how that turns out. But
It's
lots going
interesting
on,
to
man.
See one person running 3 shows in prime time on a network. That's
What the hell? What the
unheard
hell?
of, isn't it?
Her grocery list just going to start as a new series in the fall, man. Damn.
I can't wait for that.
So have you guys seen the picture of the man who beat this 18-year-old because he caught him molesting his son?
Yes.
Did you see that guy? Did you see that guy's face? Have you heard the audio when the father called 911? He says, "I got him sitting here waiting for you. He's in a pool of blood."
Yeah.
What is that, man?
You're going to need an ambulance.
and then, they asked the police chief. Reporter says, "Do you have a problem with what he did?" And the police chief says, "As the police chief, I have no problem. As a father, I have no problem."
Damn.
And I think the three of us are fathers. And I think the three of us agree. No, I don't think anybody has a problem with what that man did to that boy.
No. And
I mean,
there were no charges.
And he beat the snot out of him, man. That dude. Apparently there were no body blows. Every punch was to the face, man.
Well, the 911 operator asked him what he used. He said, "My hands and my feet."
Damn.
That was ugly, but no one has a problem with it.
Well, finally, at least we get to see what Martin would have looked like in real life.
Damn.
after that episode. You know what I'm talking about.
I just hope it wasn't too late. I hope it.
Yeah.
Well,
There also was a story, I think, in Detroit where a woman shot her man because the sex was bad.
Damn.
Hey, are we at that point now?
Hey, man, times are tough.
man, I hope not. Allison better not buy a gun.
A lot of people get shot.
I'll be shot up.
Man.
She said, "Shoot me, or I'm going to shoot you."
She was like, "No, this gun works." That hurt.
Wow.
And we're talking about sex. Chaka Khan was on Wendy Williams saying Chaka, who was 61, she said she ain't had sex in 10 years, man.
She'll lie.
You think she's lying?
Yeah, man. Come on.
But you know what? Sex isn't a priority for everybody, man.
She had a punchline.
I just wanted to sit out there by itself. That just sounds absurd. I can't imagine if you lined up people who did not have sex and put Chaka Khan in the lineup. Come on, everybody be like, "Get her out of here." I'm not buying it. We don't believe you.
But maybe there's a medical reason. I don't know.
Well, Chaka did lose. She lost 60 pounds and she's been juicing. I guess she's been juicing, but she ain't been juicing everything.
Chaka Khan.
That's what I'm saying. Chaka Khan.
Chaka Khan. I read this article yesterday, and I wrote a blog about it on Talking360.com about Tony Dungy, because Tony Dungy says he would not have drafted Michael Sam because things will happen, and he wouldn't want to deal with it. And as much as I hold Tony Dungy in high regard, I got to say I was shocked by those comments because, to me, there was something cowardly about that. Something very, and I still like Tony Dungy, and I respect the fact that he's allowed to say what he wants to say, but I got to say I disagree in the strongest terms. First of all, I think that sooner or later that issue had to be addressed in the NFL.
Yeah.
And if you're a head coach, from everything I've watched, read, and talked to NFL players, the head coach, they're looking for the best athlete for their team. Well, to the point where they sometimes Dick Vermeil thought that Lawrence Phillips was going to be the save-all for the Rams, and gave Lawrence every opportunity to prove Dick Vermeil right. Unfortunately, it didn't turn out that way. Lawrence Phillips is a monster, and it was a complete NFL bust. But what everybody ignored was that Lawrence Phillips was the same monster at Nebraska that he was in the NFL.
Yeah,
But for Tony Dungy to say something like that,
I think Tony just proved what we all know, is that we all are stupid sometimes. That was stupid. I think he could feel how he wants to feel, because he didn't say I would not pick him because of his because he's gay. I think he basically, like you said, Tony, he basically said I wouldn't pick him because as a coach I wouldn't want the hassle. I think this is a case where he just was. You know better as someone who's a seasoned television commentator and coach. There's certain things you just can't say, and I think you just can't. You can't say that. I mean, you could do that, but you just can't say that. And I think,
but it feels like those comments were kind of based on whatever his religious beliefs might be. They kind of had that underlying feeling. Otherwise, why make the comment in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
So
but I don't think it. Yeah, I don't think he said that.
He didn't say it.
Yeah,
he didn't.
What I'm saying is, I think some coaches. Let me just say this. I think some coaches felt like, number one, Michael Sams as a player coming into the NFL may or may not make it. And so
there's no risk there.
And then the second part is he is going to bring a whole bunch of attention. So I think the reality is, regardless of a religious take on it, is from a coach standpoint, he's not worth all the hassle. That's what I think he really probably feels. But why would you say that? I mean, you can feel that way, but you know what I mean? I don't think the upside of a Michael Sams, I think a lot of coaches feel like he's going to maybe be an okay player, not that great of a player. So for all the attention you get, much like Tim Tebow, it wouldn't be worth it. So, but why say it?
Well, I mean, I just think that I was just shocked that Tony Dungy would say something like that, and yeah, it crossed my mind, and I wrote that in my blog piece about the religious aspect of maybe what Tony's beliefs may or may not be, but it just seems like he's much more than those comments. I don't know, and I was hoping that maybe it was taken out of context, I mean, because I like Tony Dungy so much, I just thought that was really a bad thing to say.
But are we projecting?
Say it again, man.
Are we projecting the religious piece? I mean,
yeah, because he never said it had anything. I mean, he didn't say anything about religion. I just guessed myself, because I know he's a very spiritual man. It seems like there was a bias there, and for some reason, in my mind I tied it to his religious beliefs. Am I right? Am I wrong? I don't know. I have no idea. Is it fair for me to say that? Probably not, but that's how I felt.
And I agree with you, Tony. I kind of felt like it probably came from that aspect. He was probably like I mean, we're trying to understand where he was coming from in making these comments. Mm-hmm. So it's all speculation anyway. Why would you make the comment if it didn't have to be made? And if it's coming from Tony Dungy, you got to assume that it's coming from a place beyond just our purview, beyond just being an NFL coach. Maybe he just felt, and like I said, I agree with you, Tony, that there had to be some kind of religious, twinge that just wasn't sitting right with him for him to make a comment like that. These conversations that are around athletes anyway, he was nearly the last man drafted in the NFL draft this year. Almost Mr. Irrelevant. Mm-hmm. Michael Sam is going to come, and I mean, we talk about the team, the coaches, what the scouts say, but nobody ever brings up what the player's viewpoint might be. Mm-hmm. Michael Sam is going to bust his ass in there and try to make that team. I mean, I just felt like giving him some props because I think his mindset is in the right place.
Stop it, Mark.
So you had to use those words, did you? We know.
Stop.
He's gonna bust his ass.
See, stop it.
I didn't.
Here's one that'll play up to Mark Clark, because Cat Williams said in a recent interview that Dave Chappelle was a victim of a conspiracy.
Yeah.
Do you buy that?
Yeah. Well, no, it's interesting because I saw one of my friends on Facebook who posted the Cat Williams comments had told me the background of, or not this what Cat was talking about, but he told me that there was talk that at the end of the day, there's always something going on that we may or may not be aware of. Mm-hmm. And my friend who posted it was saying that a certain company had offered Dave Chappelle like $1 billion for like a lifetime contract, So Cat Williams' thing was more of on the conspiracy side piece.
What's the conspiracy, though, that because he walked away from the Comedy Central thing that he got blackballed in the entertainment business? What's the conspiracy?
Cat Williams' side was basically, when they pony up, to make the move on you to get paid or to play ball, that if you don't play ball, there's backlash for you not playing ball. And so it's almost one of those, a deal you can't refuse. If you refuse the deal, then you're going to be punished. Okay. And so Cat Williams, to make a long story short, said basically we saw him get destroyed in front of our eyes, but because he turned the money down, and they said he's a crackhead, they said he's crazy, they said he's, and that's true. All those things were true. He went to Africa, he's crazy, he didn't know what he's going to do, he lost his mind, he's a madman. It kind of went.
No, when you say all those things were true, you're saying it's true he was a crackhead, and it's true.
No. His image, by turning the money down, he was painted as a crazy man.
Okay.
There was drug, because if you remember, go back to when it first went down, when they didn't know where Dave Chappelle was, right? There was this feeling like what? I mean, it wasn't a, hey, Dave, hey, whatever. Let's say, and when's the last time anybody that, in entertainment, when's the last time you did a story about how much money any superstar turned down? I can't recall that ever happening. I can't ever recall us knowing how much Tom Cruise, any big actor or actress, how much they even make. Mm-hmm. But Dave Chappelle's claim to fame is he's the guy that turned down $50 million.
Right. Right. Well, I did not mention, and I should have mentioned earlier.
It's funny though, just to interject, hearing Cat Williams talk about somebody else's crazy.
Yeah. Right.
I need
really.
Right. Well, you know what? But the other thing.
Let me tell you, I'm Cat Williams. Let me tell you how somebody else's ass went crazy.
Right. And all the dynamics. It's very. Conspiracy thing is things that like Cat. Who knew? I didn't. When Cat Williams doing his most crazy, he was the top 3 comedian earner. Who knew that? His deal with Live Nation, which that's never talked about. His deal with Live Nation was talked about as his crazy part, right? Then, even in this moment, like you said, Troy, the part that makes it all crazier is the interview was conducted by like Bishop Don Juan. So it's like,
oh hell no! Why are we listening to this?
It was.
But it reminds me though. It reminds me of the Dick Gregory stuff. There's always a crazy backdrop when this kind of stuff is released. But it's interesting. Like, is that by accident? Because if it wasn't presented in that way, then it had more credibility. But it's always presented in a crazy way, So again, that makes my flag. It always makes me go, what's that about? Like Troy, we always talk about the drug stuff. The guy who invented the game is never interviewed. The guy who invented Balco is never on ESPN. He's only on some offbeat podcast.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But ESPN never asked him about, what do you think, Mr. Guy who created Balco?
Right.
What's the take on because he's not on the mainstream. So is it by accident? Is it conspiracy? I don't know. It's conspiracy. That's my thing.
Well, Men on Everything is being sponsored by Fearless. Shop Fearless in Chesterfield Mall in Chesterfield, Missouri, ladies, and level up your look. Lots of accessories, lots of nice pieces of clothes. Fellas, you might want to drop by and get your lady something nice just because you love her. Check it out. Shop anytime, also online at mark-anthonys.collections.com. So Eric Garner is a victim. Some say a murder victim. I don't know. It sure looks like it. I mean, Eric Garner is this big man, physically a big man, but was known as a gentle giant. And apparently police decided to investigate him for some cigarette scam they thought he was involved in or something.
Cigarette sales, yeah.
Yeah, and they put him in a chokehold, and he died. And I don't. The chokehold. My understanding was it was illegal from the jump anyway. They're not supposed to be doing that, right?
New York City police don't. That's not part of their standard procedure.
So if it's not part of standard procedure, and you break what the regulations are as a police officer in New York City and use the chokehold and you kill a man, then essentially you have murdered him. Am I wrong in thinking that way, or am I off base here, or is it more complicated than that?
Well, the only thing is I guess the preliminary reports are not necessarily that he, died of the chokehold.
He had cardiac arrest
of asthma, and he was upset, and it surely contributed to it. So yeah, I'm sure there's a case. There's definitely a case, and this has had a history of violations, and he's been sued a couple times.
Who, Eric Garner?
No, the police officer.
Oh, the police officer. Okay, because you cut out for a second. Okay. So what happens now? I know the officer has been put on desk duty and pending an outcome of everything, but I think a lot of people, and let's just be honest, a lot of black folks say that's just a formality because he's going to get off the hook.
I think you're safe in saying a lot of people believe that. What's interesting about the times that we live in is, somebody had the forewithal to be right there and recording it. So we saw, pretty much, at least when they were subduing him to the point that he passed out, and then actually after, once the paramedics arrived and they were very slow to do anything. I thought it was interesting. Al Sharpton said, where is the humanity? If you have 5 or 6 police officers who have been able to bring a 350-pound man to the ground at the point that they could have handcuffed him or, just held him down, they probably could have started to assess what else was going on. And I think that's probably where, when you look at the video, it just certainly looks like there wasn't much of a move to see what was going on with him.
Right.
And I'm sure most people noticed that, they kept holding him down. He was unresponsive. He wasn't moving. Probably wasn't breathing. When the paramedic, checked his pulse, she just kind of checked it and rolled out, and they didn't do anything else. And you could see, even the person filming it was like, where's the CPR, or something? The guy needs medical attention, and there wasn't a reaction. So it feels like. And I'm sure that, obviously the investigation continues, but it feels like it escalated way too far. And even if it went too far, maybe there was an opportunity to at least try to revive him, and a man wouldn't have lost his life.
Yeah. That's just pretty sad that it went down that way because, I don't know. The thing is that here we are, and this is the world we live in, that at any time, at any point, something horrible that goes down like that, there's a good chance it's going to show up on the internet because that's just the world we live in now. Mm-hmm. Whether that's good or bad, I don't know. In a way, it's like, okay, now we're going to show you how the world really is, but it's bad in a way. This is going to be out there forever for his children to see.
Yeah. Well, I think it's still good, though, because, at least it can get, clarity on how things happen. And the irony is, one of the shop owners is saying that he was broken up a fight earlier. I mean, though he had a history of selling the cigarettes, that wasn't what was going on that day. He had been there, and his presence has stopped fights, and he breaks up fights. So he had broken up a fight earlier, and that's why the cops were called off anyway. So it wasn't even about, and that's probably a part of his frustration was, I basically stopped something earlier today.
Why are you harassing me?
Yeah.
Is what he said before things got, out of control.
God bless him.
I'm not doing it.
God bless him.
Sad situation.
So the Sandy Alicia casting company has been getting a lot of flack because they're the casting company involved with the NWA movie, and they had put out a call for some extras, and they're being called racist, and they're being called on the carpet for a lot of things. And I'm looking over here because they had 4 categories they were looking for women. The A girls, these are the hottest of the hottest. Models must have real hair, no extensions, very classy looking, great bodies. You can be black, white, Asian, Hispanic, Mideastern, or mixed race too. Ages 18 to 30. Please email a current color photo, your name, union status, height, weight, city, which you live, all this good stuff like that. B girls, these are fine girls, long natural hair, really nice body, small waist, nice hips. You should be light skinned. Beyonce is a prototype here, age 18 to 30. C girls, these are African American girls, medium to light skin with a weave, age 18 to 30. D girls, these are African American girls, poor, not in good shape, medium to dark skin tone, character types, ages 18 to 30. Then it goes on to say who you should send everything to, what they're looking for as far as details and stuff like that. That company could do nothing but apologize. That's all they could do.
Yeah, that's all you can do.
That's all you can do. So you feel like there needs to be more needs to be done. But I mean, really, they apologize. What else can you do?
I mean,
can Tyler Perry and John Singleton and Spike Lee and black directors, can they blackball this company as far as using them for casting? Would that even be effective? Is that realistic? Can we hold Black Hollywood accountable not to use this company when it comes to casting? I mean, is that the price to pay? Is that too heavy a price? I don't know, but it just seems like, at the end of the day, when someone does something wrong, really, apology is all you can do. But because I think people who don't have the purest intentions and just say things knowing that they can apologize for it later and get off the hook, that's all they have to do. There needs to be some more accountability, but I don't know the answer, guys. What do you think?
I think the problem is you don't have enough people of color in decision-making positions.
Right.
And time again, the insensitivity in it's black. Whether you're talking about black folks, Latinos, Asians, it doesn't matter. Whenever there's another race involved, and that person is not present, and a majority, I'm generalizing, a majority is making the decision, you're going to make a mistake. You're going to do it wrong. I mean, we're talking about casting a movie. So, it's not hard to understand that potentially in a movie, if they wanted to cast an ugly person, they're going to say, we want some ugly people. We want this specific characteristic because we're trying to recreate something. The language was wrong. I mean, if you're setting a scene in a movie and it's supposed to be representative of walking down the street in downtown St. Louis, it probably ought to be mostly some black folks and some white folks. So you're setting a tone. They just use the wrong language, and it's probably because there's not anybody there who can say, you know what, I don't think we want to send this out this way, because I'm already offended by it because I'm black, or I'm already offended by it because I'm Latino. It's just doing it wrong.
Well, it sounds like, sadly, it could have been just like you said, a misinformed company that may or may not even be black. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a black company, to be honest.
But that's what I'm saying. I mean, I think across the board, obviously, when you say Black Hollywood, that sounds great. But the reality is, what's the percentage of Black Hollywood in total Hollywood?
Yeah,
it's minuscule. Mm-hmm. So it speaks to the large. I mean, how many? You can watch commercials all day long. How many commercials do you see for products that you're interested in using, and there are no black people in the commercial? There are no Latinos in the commercial. Or you're surprised when, well, I'll be damned, they did a car commercial with a Latino. It's amazing.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, but I think that a lot of it, Mark and I had a conversation before we started the show today about, you know, the constant struggle is when it comes like to advertisers, and this is a little bit different. It's not so much that you're selling ratings. You're actually selling the theory in black radio. I've been involved in black radio my entire broadcasting career. You are selling the power, the message of the black consumer. You're not necessarily selling, you know, ratings. And I think in you know, when I hear the term Black Hollywood, it makes me, it almost makes me laugh because of what you said, Troy. Is that, you know, the amount of blacks in Hollywood is so minuscule compared to the big picture.
Yeah.
That it's almost like a misnomer to say Black Hollywood because it's so small. It's like comparing, you know, Rhode Island to Alaska, you know,
Right.
And there's no comparison at all. So I don't know. This company, do they deserve to be out of business? No, I'm not going to say that. That's that. But I mean, if I were Sandy Alicia, I would say I'm sorry. That should have never have happened. Obviously, we've got some.
What we have here is a failure to communicate.
You know, and we're going to move forward with cultural sensitivity. It is my goal to bring more diversity to my company so that things like this can't happen because we'll get a better perspective on how to address these things. Is this something that Sandy Alicia should be saying?
Yeah, but
Yes.
they did change it though. They said we want a Tony Scott, a Troy Johnson, and a Mark Clark category. You know where you fit in.
Yeah, three thick brothers.
Yeah, exactly. With a lot of time on their hands.
A lot of time. So, hey, that's our show. That's Men on Everything. We covered a lot of topics today. So, if you'd like to comment, if you'd like to give us a thumbs up, that helps a lot. Subscribing and giving a thumbs up. You know, you hear a lot of videos, people on YouTube say these kinds of things, but they're very important to us because it helps us. It helps people find us when you give us thumbs up and comments and subscribe. So, if you can do that, that would be great. Men on Everything brought to you by Fearless. Ladies, level up your look and get fantastic deals on some fantastic clothes at Fearless. You can shop anytime also online. It's in Chesterfield Mall in Chesterfield, Missouri, which is a suburb of St. Louis. If you don't know, if you're listening from outside the St. Louis area, you can go to the website, shop anywhere in the world, though, at mark-anthonys.collections.com. mark-anthonys.collections.com. All right, and subscribe to the newsletter. Go to talking360.com and subscribe. We're building the list, and we're hoping to be able to get you some deals, too, involving certain advertisers. So that would be great, too. So that's it for us. I'm Tony Scott. That's Troy Johnson in Washington, D.C. Huh?
Don't forget the casting call, ladies.
That's messed up. I'll be there.
That is Mark Clark in New York City. We are Men on Everything. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again.